OtraXFavor. This is one more, please. Welcome to another episode of Otra, por favor. And usually whenever I have a guest, they say, Otra, por favor.
Otra, por favor.
Hey, how you doing today, Alex?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. This is great. It's like I love being behind the scenes and checking out something that it's like I see you guys always on social media posting stuff, and it's like I'm in the studio now, and I'm like, what you guys don't see behind the scenes? I'm like, it's like I love going behind the scenes and stuff, except like for your best, like your favorite restaurants, because sometimes you don't want to see the back of the kitchen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But the back of the kitchen, this place pretty good.
And I think like sometimes, because I've worked in restaurants and I've been behind the kitchen, and the magic happens there because you never know like the mood of, like especially with cooks and when they're cooking steak on a Saturday night, you know. They're like they could be out grilling and having a carne asada, but they're doing it for you, so they're having fun back there. It's busy as hell, but it's fun. So sometimes that brings a little appreciation because when you get that that steak cooked the way you want and it tastes good, it's like because they're in a good day. So today in the studio in this episode, which is gonna release the first week of February, I have Alex Franco. He is the host of 94.7, and that's the morning show from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Booker, Alex, and Audrey in the morning. Yeah, I've been doing it a while now.
Bro, how long have you been doing it?
With Booker, it's been about, I think, 11 years now, and Audrey probably 3 or 4. I mean, I lose track of time because I want it always to feel like it's yesterday. Yeah. I hate putting numbers on stuff because then it's like you look back and you're like, wow, you've been doing that for a long time. Like being on the radio and being in Austin. I mean, I've been doing it since 2002, and that's a long time.
I mean, so I'm pretty sure from that you've gotten experiences of a lot of different moments, and you experience a lot of like especially as radio evolved, to what it is now, which we're gonna talk about. But first is I want to. A little bit of how we met. We actually met at the Austin FC media game.
I knew of you and you knew of me, but it was an awkward meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah, because because Alex, he was a great player. He went and just rammed it. No, I was playing. No, actually,
we were literally on the field.
On the field, yeah.
And I kicked the ball into your face. You're being humble about it. I kicked the ball right into your face, and it was the media cup for Austin FC, and you were on the other side, and I didn't mean to, and I was like, oh my god, and I literally stopped and walked up to you like, I'm so sorry. Like you never see that in a real match, But I was like, I'm so sorry. I feel so awful. And then afterwards, I was talking to Sean, our boy, from 94.7 as well, and Danny. Yeah. I was talking to them, and I was like, that's your friend Richie, isn't it? Like, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, I kicked him in the face with the ball. I was like, I did say I'm sorry though, and they started. They said you need to go on his podcast. I was like, okay, here I am.
And hey, you know what? I always say whenever there's something bad that happens, something great happens after that.
But here we are.
You're good. Now, so it's funny thing is before that, I usually play on Thursdays with my friends. So I got hit in the fall, I got hit in the face, like pretty hard. About a couple of weeks before that, and then I was dealing with knee issues. So I was like, I think the kick that you did is okay. So I was already prepared. The life prepared me for that moment.
I noticed you had a knee brace.
Yeah.
I had one too. That's why right before I kicked you the ball in the face, I noticed your knee brace, and I'm like, that's my guy right there.
There you go.
I had the knee brace too, and it's like we're not falling apart. Yeah, we don't look like we're at the age we should be falling apart, but life happens, bro.
Yeah. We're actually it's getting a little older. The recovery time is it's longer, but it was a good time.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And by the way, my knee injury, it's soccer related.
Yeah.
But I slipped in the Lexus Club at Q2 Stadium in March.
Wow.
I slipped when no one was looking.
Yeah.
I was with my friends. I fell into some amazing seats, and I went to go get a beer, and no one was around me, and I literally did the splits, and my leg folded behind my leg. My calf was like touching my hamstring. I tore my meniscus.
Ooh.
I got up and it was the worst pain, and I tried to walk it off, and I was just slamming like jellyfish after that just to get my wife and kids were out of town. I was Ubering. I was in pain, and I just had to get it off my mind. And my friends didn't believe it. No one understands your pain. I was telling my friends like, you don't believe what just happened. They're like, dude, just drink it off. And I'm like, no, it's real. Like I felt, I tore it. I went to the doctor after, and I tore it, and I recovered because I wanted to play in that media cup.
Yeah.
And I was all good. But then I tore it again, or I tore it really good by the end of that match.
And how's your knee now?
Awful. I mean, I got to get it. They said give it 6 weeks. I did get another MRI in December because we played at the end of November. And they said, no, it's torn like at the root now. They're like, look, we either cut this thing out or you just leave it in as a padding, but it just feels awkward. So they said, if you cut it out, you're going to be prone to arthritis at an earlier age.
Right.
And I was like, well, here's the thing. I want to enjoy playing with my kids and doing stuff now. So if that arthritis kicks in at 60, we'll be good because my kids aren't going to be wanting to play.
And
you know
you can do a
I'll be fine. A little arthritis at an earlier age. It's all good.
Yeah.
But that media cup, what's funny about this, we've talked about this off air, but my son is 10. And
which you got to play.
Well, that wasn't the whole idea. This is the thing. Like, it's a media cup. And by the way, I want to thank you guys and all the media in Austin FC that covers them, because what happened was awesome, but I could see how at first, if you didn't know the behind the story, you'd be like, why does he have his kid there? So my son, in a nutshell, wanted to volunteer that day. He wanted to take pictures. I told him about how it was last year, and we were able to get him to volunteer and shag balls. Because all the last year balls were flying into the stands, and so
he wanted to go and help. And,
right, and none in the refs. I mean, everyone from Austin FC, the staff, the communications department, they're busy doing. They're out there, so they don't want to be shagging balls.
Right.
So get a 10-year-old to do it. And I pulled him out of school. Told the school he had a doctor's appointment, and he was running, getting balls, and he is one of those like, yes sir, no, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Like he was running and working, and then he had also my phone. He had a tripod. He was getting video and getting pics, because there's photographers out there, but he wanted to do everything and anything that he could, and then it came second half where Ryan with Austin FC was like, hey, does your son want to play the second half?
That's cool.
And I was like, well, I mean, no. I was like, I don't want. I said, I don't want. It'd be amazing to be a poor man's LeBron and Bronny,
Yeah.
But I said, honestly, is it okay with everyone else? Talk to everyone else, and he's like, it's not up to them. I said, okay, we'll do whatever. He said it'd just be a cool moment. So my son, of course, he had his cleats in his bag because he was like, you never know.
Yeah.
And I made no promises, and then so that second
he
half,
came prepared.
Yeah, that second half started, and then
yeah.
there was an extra shirt, and so. He got in there, and I'll tell you one of the coolest things, man. I'm gonna tell you, right? Like Bob Ballou from CBS, he saw us getting ready to go, and he grabbed my phone. He's like, I got to get this video. And he got us when we kicked off, and it was amazing. It was awesome. It was cool. I mean, it was a moment like, sure, it's just the media cup that no one gets to see.
But I think it's more like a celebration of everybody's work in the year.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, no, but him and I, I mean, him and I got to do that. That was amazing. And I thought everyone in the media that was there was cool about it. And I was like, all right, get off after a minute or two, let's let everyone finish out. But by then my knees were down. I was like, you can take my place, bro.
Go ahead, man. I'm good. Yeah. No, it's so I mean, in the media game last year,
people are probably asking what's the media camp, what's the media cup. So go ahead and
explain. So it's basically sort of a thank you from Austin FC to every media outlet that covers them. And last year, I threw a tantrum because we didn't get the invite, and I was like, man, what the hell? We've been covering the team and doing this and that. This year, everything was different. We all got invited. The people that covered the team got invited, which is great. And I hope we see more of that in the future. But going to the actual media and who's there is pretty much, media like bigger media outlets, smaller media outlets, emerging media outlets. And it's great because a lot of the times we're so busy in the stadium doing our thing. So we don't really get to, chop it up and talk about or play or, share a beer. So that's what it was about. And it's usually every year at the end of the season. And it's also nice weather. It's not too hot.
Right.
So that helps.
And they make the field a little smaller.
Because
that field, my God. I mean, it's big when you get on it. It's like, it's a lot of running. And it's funny because whenever everyone's sorting out what position they want to play, everyone's like, a defender. Yeah. I'm like, and dude, I remember the first one I did last year. I was like, they're like, you want to play forward? Maybe I'm like, no. I'm like, no. I was like, I guess, and I was dying inside.
Yeah.
Dying. And we didn't have any substitutes. We had one.
Yeah.
So we were short, and I was like, oh my gosh. But I swear I had to, because you're around all these media people. You're all around the Austin FC people. And it's like, I said inside, I was like, I got to look and act like I'm fit, and I got to look like I've been doing. And I was dead after that. But I ran so much.
Yeah.
It was amazing, but it was like the hardest thing I've done.
It was well, so I don't if there's one thing a lot of the times we question players and talk about their performance. Of course, that's their job, right? But man, a lot of us, we actually prepare for that one day.
Bro,
the whole year, think about the one day, and when it happens, you're there, and man, you're half gas.
Yeah.
Like towards the second, the end of the first half.
It's like we take a moment, like you're sitting there and you're looking around, and then you realize that you're criticizing the players.
Yeah.
And then you're out there now, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is way harder. Like it's ridiculous, man. It's amazing though. It's an amazing time, and you brought up a great point about how media. How the invite, you made a fuss about it.
Yeah.
But media's changed, and media is going to be changing. And I will say props to Austin FC's communication department for realizing that and knowing it. And this year there were so many new faces from other outlets, not your TV, radio, traditional, your print, like it's from podcasts and from just several different like small little pop-up like organic little outlets. And it was great to see it because those are the passionate people that follow the team.
Yeah, and so and with that, it's Austin's soccer culture, it's growing. It's fairly new, a lot of changes. I mean, right now it's going through a rebuild, a reconstruction. So you need communications to, everybody has a different taste of who they listen to and why they listen to them. So having those media outlets being there helps because one, credibility is a huge thing when I think of, and it also helps boost your not your ego, but your confidence as a media. Like you're like, okay, I'm recognized by the work from the organization that we're covering. So I hope in the future they expand it because, like you said, sometimes we need more subs than anything, and a lot of people by second half, especially me, that I'm almost 40.
Me.
And me, and
I've heard, bro.
I can maybe a good 30 minutes I'm gonna give you, but
that's all you need is a good half.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, if there was more media people there, we each get a half. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Because at the end, you're like start losing steam, and then one person or two people start racking up scores. It shouldn't be that easy. It's because we're falling apart out there.
And they got competitive, so it's a fun game, right?
Absolutely.
It's not we're not keeping like who's champion. But man, it gets competitive.
Oh yeah, and that's when I fall back and I'm like, hey bro, we're good, we're good. Because it's funny you bring about the competitiveness about you bring up media, and it's funny because I am in media, but I follow all y'all, and I follow it completely different than you guys follow. I follow y'all, and I love y'all's inside drama. I don't know the drama, but you could read it and feel it on social media, and you know who's friends with who and who annoys who and stuff like that. I love to just sit back and just watch it all. I don't like. I'm media. I'm a part of y'all, but I'm not a part of that. But I enjoy every minute of that because we all do our different job of media. You guys cover the team more. With Mix 94.7, our demographic, we're not a sports show, but we're reaching out and letting young families, young people in Austin that aren't fans of soccer or didn't know that 150 plus people move here daily. Letting those people know that fall upon our show, letting them know that hey, it's like hey, we have the soccer team here. It's like it's pretty cool. But if you're not into soccer, come check it out because it's just a vibe. Like that's my job in media to get get that word out. Not technically cover the team and criticize the team.
Talk about contracts.
Praise, oh no, see,
Gam Tam.
no. See, that's where I feel pure because I don't get involved in any of that. And I don't choose. I choose not to.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't want to. It'll take away every fun thing I'm having because I have media and fan. I don't mix the two.
So and like say for example, he's going a little bit into that how it's evolving, right? You have conventional media outlets that have done this for years, and you have newer media outlets. Newer media outlets, of course, they're learning more about how to cover it. They're finding their own voice and their own tone. And that's working out for them. And then conventional media outlets, they've already had people before the team. So seeing those together when it's transfer season or when results are good, for the most part, it's quiet and everybody's okay. But seeing those together and trying to make them when the results aren't the best, that's where you probably understand more of, okay, what type of tone people are getting from where. And some want to question more, some are more informational, but at the end of the day, like my friend Michelle was saying, it's everything's a fair game. When it comes to media outlets and whatnot, you got to find a way to make it different. And for us, that's why we involve not just soccer but also other things because there's a whole world, like a whole universe. It's like Like I always say of the MLS, you know, it's the main core, right? The league, and then you have your different branches, and each branch has their own community, and then from that you have your own subcultures from that community. So just finding those subcultures in that community is like what a lot like I enjoy doing here, because there's so many great stories that have to do with people, whether they've followed soccer for so long or they just started watching it right now, because their perspective is like, I mean, I have friends that didn't get to watch soccer until recently, a couple years ago, and they're now every Austin FC game, they're ready for it. They're talking about it. Like we go camping, and now we're like, "Hey, bro, do you have a game with me? You have the game with you?" So it's great for me. It's amazing, and I think the town is still learning about it. You have your fans that watched it for a while. They understand more of the game. People that are still like learning more about it, but just seeing that, for me, it's great, because anybody that talks about a team, that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, no, Austin FC's figured it out, man. I mean, their communications department does a really good job of bringing all those different types of media in, you know, because every one of them is going to touch someone differently, or someone that, you know, not everyone's listening to the same thing, you know, not everyone's a super fan, you know. I mean, I'm still bringing in friends and bringing people in, and you know, I go to matches and I'll see people listen. Oh my God, I didn't know you're not, you know, and I love that. But it's like, you know, it's just, and I get people that, oh my God, thank you for mentioning it. It was great. Like, you know, one of the, like, I guess was it last season, the last game of the season. Wasn't like it was the UT had a football game, or maybe it wasn't the last game of the season, but UT had a football game. Remember?
Like, I think it was the second.
It was like it was Georgia.
Last game, yeah.
And then like F1 was going on, and it's like
busy weekend.
It was the busiest weekend ever. And I was telling people, I was like, okay, here's the thing. They were like, we're not going to go to UT game. We're not going to pay that ticket price. And I was like, and they had never been to an Austin FC match. And I'm like, you should go to an Austin FC match, because you're going to get a deal like on tickets, because great seats are available. And there are, man, I'm telling you, there are always great seats available at Q2 through SeatGeek, bro. I fall into so many great seats. Not even funny, man.
And a lot of the times, people that don't go last minute, they end up selling it, and you're like,
I know,
$50 for the Lexus, hell yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just saying there is a bargain, and that's the thing. You can't find that at many professional or many big games here in Austin, you know, or across campus at UT. You know, you're not finding that kind of deal.
Or even NFL. I mean, the Texans tickets. I don't know. $200, $300.
Oh yeah.
So, but before we go into more Austin FC later, because I do want to hear, like, you know, your story, how did it impact you. I want to get into the life of Alex, and it comes with, you know, where are you originally from, and how did your childhood shape the person you are today? So
the pride of El Paso, Texas, bro. And I know someone's probably watching me like, no, dude, you're not. No, I throw that out just because it's funny. But I'm from El Paso, Texas, and I moved here in 2000 because basically everyone, all my friends were leaving. They all were like, they were going to UT, and I was like, and I was like, it's one of those where it's like I didn't want to go, but it was one of those things where it's like, if I don't go, I'm not going to ever go. You know, because El Paso's, and I'm going to tell you right now, I love El Paso. I try to go home once a month. I have my mom and dad there. I have family there. My wife's family's from there. My kids, I want to bring them home they love their grandparents. They love the city. You know, you always, unfortunately, I know too many people that hate on El Paso, that are from there, that want to get the heck out of there. And it breaks my heart. But that's one city that I love. But I was like, I got to come do it. You know, I got to check it out. And I checked out Austin. I was like, oh, man, you know, gained like 50 pounds when I moved here because pluckers and just like everything. Yeah. Like everything. I mean, everything I didn't have in El Paso. I'm like, oh, my God, this is amazing. And I just never left, man. I just never left. My intentions were to go to school here. I wanted to be a physical therapist.
Okay.
That didn't work out when I came and met the party scene and stuff. And I was like, okay, you know. So I bumped my major down a little bit. I had a friend that was making a fortune right out of school. He was an accountant. Like, I forgot for what company. Moved to Dallas. I'm like, that's what I want. And I realized math's involved. And I was like, nope, not for me. Not a math guy. But anyway, so I bumped it down to communications. Okay. And so I was going to school for communications and just in general. And I needed an internship, a marketing and promotions internship opened up oddly enough at Mix 94.7, or the cluster at the time, and I needed this internship, so I didn't know anything about it, but I remember I'll never forget the radio station's in Westlake, and I went up the elevator, the third floor, and the third floor elevator opened up, and a dude in like a suit blew right past me like in one of those little scooters. And I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is cool. And I just never left. I mean, I literally never left. I got there in 2002 and never left. Because I wanted to do anything and everything. And I talk to kids like all the time, just anyone. And if anyone ever asks like, oh, wow, you know, my best advice is do anything and everything you could possibly do, no matter what. And and also be true to yourself about if you want to do this still. Like I remember our old hosts that I did a morning show with, they would always tell me like, you know, when I started with them in 2002, they're like, hey man, Alex, if this isn't for you anymore, or if you're not feeling it anymore, getting up this early and all that, let us know, you know, because then, you know, and I asked why, and they said, well, because, you know, you could feel that vibe in the room and it brings the room down, and we know something's wrong, and let us place you or find something that you want to do. And I was like, okay. And they said, if you ever wake up and all I want to do is just let us know. And I have not woken up and not wanted to go. To this day.
Was this while you were an intern or already working?
So I was an intern in 2002, and then I got put on air. It was one of those where it's quick. Like, yeah, I was the guy like doing anything and everything, going out to bars, clubs. You know, whenever you you see a radio station giving out free swag and stuff. That was me. I would literally go to the on-air staff and ask them, do you need anything, this and that? I'd go to the sales side, do you need anything? I'd go ask management, do you need anything and everything I would do. Gas up the vehicles. I just want to do everything, you know? And then there was one opportunity where they like asked me a question or something in the morning show on air. And then I forgot what we were talking about. And then they just said, hey man, if you ever want to come hang out in the morning, come by. And so the next morning I was there. But the thing is, they would get off air and I would do anything and everything. I would go get coffee or just whatever possible. But 10 o'clock came around when the show would end. I would go to the promotion side, to the other side of the building, and work my intern shift. There's a lot of people that would like get that opportunity and just say, psh, forget that other part. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I was like, I still did everything and everything I was told and asked to do. Yeah. And I feel like any job, do that, because I'm going to tell you, man, when COVID hit, it completely flipped back to we lost everyone and everything, and it was a handful of us, and guess what? I was back gassing up the vehicles. But I loved it because I love doing that stuff. So it's like you just never know. That's why I do anything and everything you possibly do in any type of field you're in, and you just add value to yourself. And not only that, but you're just busy and have fun still. If you love it, if you wake up and don't want to do it, then be honest with yourself.
I like for me, when I think of radio, I think of this. I've listened to radio for years, right? And I've always been interested, even though I'm an accountant. Mm-hmm. But
I wanted to be you, man. Make all that money. See?
And look, now I want to be you.
My boy was like at Arthur Anderson or like back in the day, something like that, and was making a fortune. I was like, oh, math? Forget that.
No, we're not making a fortune, but got a decent job. However, so I've always listened to the radio, but starting 2013, that's when I really got into, understanding more about communications, even just by hearing it. And also, there's this one program in Mexico City called La Corneta. There's basically two guys that they work doing anything and everything. They had their own marketing agency from the 80s. I'm talking about, I don't know if you've ever known Luis Miguel in Mexico.
I know of him. Yep.
Yeah. So they're friends with one of his best friends, and they were all just basically having they were hippies getting high, doing the marketing agency, and then they got hired to be in this radio station, and they're like, the only way we can do it is just by having fun. We might share information, but then having fun is what helped us. And even up to date now, I'm pretty sure they probably had fights or whatever, but from when they started to now, every day it's just like they aged well. You don't get tired of listening to them.
I mean, you nailed it by saying fun.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like I always tell our bosses. I mean, I just book her and Audrey on our show. Just it's like you have to have fun, because fun is contagious, and your listeners will hear if you're having fun. Like if you're having a bad day, no one wants to hear about your bad day, because they may have had a bad day. Like there are people that commute in the morning. It's like you're leaving your house. Let's just say you're a new mom. You're tired. You're getting in the car. You have a 10-minute commute, and you're going to listen to us. The last thing you want to hear is like fighting or politics or religion talk. It's like maybe you do, but you need a breather, and we're going to give you that break. That top 40, like what we are, entertainment. lighthearted, just funny. Look, we're not that wacky morning show like, oh, no. We're chill, man. We're chill because we understand, we know, we know the city. You know what I'm saying? The city would spit us out if that's who we were, But that's the thing. The fun is contagious. When you're having fun, other people will, and that's what a lot of people say, that you guys are just fun, you guys are chill, you guys just talk about whatever. And we know there's a lot of options out there. Yeah. Podcast, like you're talking about evolving media, podcasting, other forms of listening other than the radio. I mean, thank God when COVID hit, our company Odyssey was already, rolled out the app, rolled out listening on the smart speaker. If you say, hey, Alexa, play Mix 94.7, boom, or download the Odyssey app, you can listen to our show, Booker, Alex, and Audrey, anytime on demand, not just at 6 a.m. The podcast goes up at 10 a.m., So, people, if they don't, people are always like, well, we don't get up that early anymore. It's all good. Download the app, or just
then you can listen at home. That's what I do now because I don't listen to it live. I listen to it the day after. Sometimes, I'm like, oh, damn, I'm late, but whatever. So going into, how you said something that caught my attention is you were talking about your boss told you basically if you're, not having fun and you're not enjoying it and you're waking up too early, then you let them know. Wait, because now you're already on the air at 6 o'clock, right? What is the time you wake up, or what's the logistics behind preparing a show? Because I've always been interested in that. Especially I think from my afternoon show, like maybe it's different, but like from a morning show, it's like you're basically ready to go by the time I'm still going to sleep or I'm just waking up. Yeah,
no, it's funny. Everyone is like always like, what time do you wake up? And it's like the joke. But here's the funny thing: it's like the preparation has changed throughout the years.
You don't sleep.
Well, no. So the thing is with me, I go to bed every night at like 11 or midnight. And everyone's like, what? And I'm like, I tried the 7 and 8, bro. I would wake up at 1 a.m. ready to go. I'm like, let's go. And I'm like, really? It's only 1? I'm like, no. But I'm lucky I get to get a nap during the day. When I say nap, it's like 30 minutes or something like that because I have a 10 and a 7-year-old. So I pick up from school. I'm lucky that my wife can do drop-off, and I pick them up from school. So we're done around maybe noon, 1, go home, power nap, and then I go pick them up. But it's like I'm good to go with that nap. You know what I'm saying? But the preparation has changed so much for – when I first started, stories were breaking in the morning, and stories were like, you got to, sit and read something. You got to sit behind the desktop and, scroll down and read. And now it's still preparing, but I mean, I'm literally, I'm getting alerts left and right on my phone right now. And when I get those alerts, those headlines, I'm like, oh, okay, there's this thing from TMZ here. It's like, oh, okay. So you see all these alerts all day long when you get off air, and one of those will catch your eye, and it's going to be a big story in the morning, and then you just start thinking about your take on it, because here's the thing. Our show, we have a take. At least I try to have a take on something because you can read that headline. I'm not going to tell you what the headline says because your chances are 99.9% chance you already saw that on your phone or somewhere else. Now I'm going to throw out what I think about it, And who I've been on the show, I'm myself. I mean, I throw stuff out that it's probably not the most popular thing in a room, but everyone's thinking it.
Okay.
And behind the scenes, be like, hey, man.
That's good.
I feel you. It's like, and I lay it out there. I just do it to do it because that's who I am. But it's like it's worked. I mean, I find that so many more people are like that, so that's why I'm true and honest to stuff like that. But the preparation, I mean, I'm up at. To answer your question, I mean, I have like 37 alarms on my phone. There's one at 4, one at 4:05, 4:10, and I hit snooze, so there's one every 2 minutes. Pretty much, and I finally get up. I'm good to go. Then I'll just go through my phone. See everything that's happening. Booker and Audrey will text each other like, hey,
you awake?
What's the biggest thing? Yeah. Yo, you awake? Number 2, what's the biggest thing? Yo, you want to do Whataburger Wednesday? You want to do this, Yeah. I mean, I literally, we go on air live at 6, and then we'll get there. So a lot of people, so it's funny, like behind the scene thing, a lot of people, would normally get there like at 5, but Booker, it's funny, man. He's in his zone, where if you go too early in the studio, because he has the speakers, he has the radio turned up, he's getting in a rhythm of stuff and listening to stuff that we recorded the day before, editing, doing that, and that's a zone that he's in, and it's funny, but it's like because if you disrupt it, you throw everything off, So I'll roll in like right at 5:30, but I'm ready to go. I have everything because a lot of times too, what we've learned when I roll in early, him and I will start talking like, bro, dude, and it's like we literally talk about everything we were about to talk about when 6 o'clock comes around. And it's like, hey, what do we talk about? You know, because we're the excitement, you know, and that's the thing. Like you can't. So, I mean, yes, you can act and bring that up, but it's like when you're telling a story or talking about a topic from that day, like that first time, you know, it's super exciting. If it's exciting and something you're passionate about, it's like it's hard to repeat that, you know. So we avoid we stay quiet. We don't stay quiet, but we avoid talking and getting into it until 6
It's kind of like that saying where if you say the same joke 3 times, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So if we say something already, it's like the second time. I mean, it's like, you know, you won't get that same reaction as the first time.
So you come in during the show. I mean, you drink coffee? What do you do?
Oh yeah, so we have a thing. So Booker and I, Audrey brings her own food. She makes her own food. Booker buys coffee. I buy food. That's what we do every day. So every day it's Starbucks. The points that man must have, unreal. Like I'll take turns sometimes and I'll get points. But my Whataburger points are unreal because they finally opened up a Whataburger in Westlake. We're in Westlake. So there's a Whataburger there now. So I'll pick it up every morning. I mean, not every morning. We'll switch it up. But like we're the dudes that are eating lunch at 6 a.m. Like I have no problem eating a hamburger at 6 a.m. or a tuna sandwich or something. Not that I make it home, but get from like a deli or something nearby. But that's coffee, lunch. We're eating it. We're doing it by like 7:30.
And you're done recording at 10, right?
Yeah, our show. So a lot of the stuff ends. Well, we're done being live at 10, but then there's a lot of stuff that like we have to record that like. For instance, like, you know, dating is a big thing in our show. It's a dating show, you know. Our demographic, it's female 25-54, young families, new to Austin, right out of college, into their new career. But I mean, it's like all different types of people listen, and I love it, you know. My son who's 10, I see his friends in the hallways when I'm picking them up and they're like, oh my God, we listen. I'm like, oh my God, I did not think you. I'm like, really? Like this kid shouldn't be listening, but I love it. I love everything about it. His parents listening, but there's, you know, I mentioned the dating part. It's like, you know, there's a lot of like one of our biggest thing is the there's our misconnections that we do, but there's God, I just drew a blank. This is where it's late at night. And it's not even a tequila. We're recording this at night, by the way.
Which thank you for coming.
Yes, absolutely.
9 o'clock exactly.
Again, no. There's our misconnection bit that we do, and there's the waiting by the phone where it's when you get ghosted. Where there's a lot of people, you know, we get suggestions of this of a date that went bad, and we reach out to the person, and it's a lot of people. Look, let's be honest, a lot of people aren't waking up at 7 a.m, you know, to take a call from us. So it's like that's where at 10 o'clock we'll reach back out and we'll record it, and then we'll air it, you know, that next day. So it's like a lot of people. The first question is, what time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? And then the third question is, are those people really answering at 7 a.m? Yeah. Yes, somewhat, but no. After that's where we get that from.
So that part of misconnections and someone answers, you edit it, and the next show the following day, or
the misconnections part. No, see, that's the thing. Like the way the world is now, it's like we want the instant payoff.
Okay,
you know, a lot of shows back, you know, older. There's some there would be people that'd be upset if we didn't pay off right away, you know, because there's those commutes, like I told you, like there's people that drive 10 minutes to work that, you know, want that instant payoff, that are going to sit there in their car before they go, or, you know, they're going to go in their work, you know, and get on their desk or get on their phone or their smart speaker. But, you know, we always have payoff, you know, we know what the commutes are. We know that it's short commutes. And so we have to do the payoff right away. So we do a condensed, tighter version of it, you know, and cut the fat, trim the fat, you know, and get to the point for the respect of our listener. You know,
10 minutes, boom, you're there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and you know, and that's the thing. Like, you know, where we understand that's the listener, the commute. We know that podcasts, you know, a lot of people are into them.
Yeah,
they're a big deal. That's just in. But a lot of them are long form, you know, and a lot of people don't have time to listen to it all. And so most of the time they're going to be listening after work. They're going to listen on their own. You hear people that are cooking that'll be listening in the background, you know, that have that hour to spare. A lot of our, commute morning, people are commuting, you know, believe it or not, people are back going to work.
They're now. I mean, it's different now. You're going back more to the office.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
things changing.
Or you're just you're just getting in, running errands, dropping the kid off at school. But it's like a 15, 20-minute ride for some or most. But it's like not enough to dig deep into your podcast. But if you need something short and sweet, non-political, religious, and just about entertainment, hey,
Here. So from making it to where it's fun, right? And you want to capture that for the audience. So in this particular one, La Corneta, they have basically they open the mic for the the listener to talk and share with their point of views. But a lot of times they cuss and they bent, but they blame every cuss word, or sometimes they're shooting the shit, right? But of course that's because people are listening to them. That's how they're paying attention and listening. And you're having people waiting in a queue to get in the air.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you guys have something similar?
Oh yeah. No, we take calls all the time, and here's the thing: like in your cars, you're not supposed to text and drive, but people will wherever they're at a stop, or they will text, and that's the thing. People will text our line to give feedback. And if you look on every I mean, Apple CarPlay, big player, but you go hit the FM part, and you'll see our numbers scrolling there where they can call in and text into. And also on CarPlay, I mean, the Odyssey app, that's our app. That's our company's app that you could listen to our show, and you'll get the number, boom, right there, instant feedback, They'll call. People like to call and talk, people still will, especially even more so in cars now with, just
Bluetooth.
and that in CarPlay, and you can just literally sit and we can, if you feel like talking to someone, shout us out, come talk, chime in,
Oh, good, because I'm always down to talk.
There you go, bro.
One question that I have is, so whenever you're doing giveaways, right, for, Harry Styles. Mm-hmm. Single women want to go listen to Harry Styles, or man.
I went, dude. That was I like 2 weeks of him at the Midi Center.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Crazy.
Oh, man.
It was I worked a couple of the shows, and it was amazing. But what's the how many people are in the queue waiting to win those tickets?
A lot.
Like average.
I mean, dude, we've done caller. I mean, we've done caller 94 because the 94.7.
Yeah,
we'll get fast to caller 94, but it takes a lot getting through. And it's like our phone bank is it's modern. It's through an internet line, but it's like there's five. I guess 5 to 10 buttons on there that boom, boom, boom. Like, hi, morning show, you're number 1. Hi, morning show, you're number 2. Hi, morning show, you're number 3. Try again. I mean, I'm the one that's answering that line. I'll go back to the little producer room, and it's a lot. But also texting in, people will text in to win, and, hey, number 94, text in, you're the winner. It's like you got to go through all those, and you see them boom, 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 boom. Especially like when it's ACL weekend, tickets for ACL. It's like people want, I mean, that's the thing. People love winning stuff still, and I love seeing that because the reaction for people that win stuff, it's like it's awesome, and it's usually a first time winner, that's not won before, and it's so funny because it's like they're the last person you think wins, like they're playing a game or wanting to register to win, I've met so many random people, dude, that listen to the show that shouldn't listen to the show. I mean, not shouldn't, but it's like I'm like, what? I'm like, you listen to the show? Yeah. I'm like, you've listened to us? I was blown away. I don't even know. I don't know if I want to even. I mean, I'm going to bring it up, but it's like I don't want to get kicked out of here.
Yeah.
But I will say one of the most I felt like taken back. Like, damn. I was like, wow. Like I left and I told my wife, I'm like, oh wow. I was so like blown, like starstruck kind of thing.
Yeah.
My wife and I were here at an event. It was with St. David, and it was in the Lexus Club. No, it wasn't a Lexus Club. What's the one below that, like, I will never see because I don't have that money?
It's the field level club.
Yeah. So there was a small little event there, and it was a Q&A with the coach, with Josh Wolf at the time, and the prior to Roto, the athletic director or sporting director,
Reina.
Yeah, Claudia Reina, and I got introduced to them. I got introduced to Josh Wolf, and then I was like, hi, I was like, Alex Franco, Mix 94. He's like, I know who you are. And I was like, and he was like, I've heard you ever. And I was like, honestly, my face was pulled back, and I was like, my wife was like, you're just dying loving this. And I was like, it's just cool. It was just cool. It was just cool because that's the last guy I ever thought would be listening. Yeah. I'm like, really?
So maybe from from everything that happened, probably having a bad day. But then the moment he would listen to you guys,
I don't know. This was prior. This was the beginning of the 2023 season.
Okay,
so everything was good.
Everything was good. Yeah,
everything was good still. Yeah, no, and I was just. I mean, again, it's like you just never know who's listening. And I was just always like, wow, And I will tell you that night, another amazing moment was. So I'm Hispanic. My we're Mexican.
Yeah.
And whenever we go to fancier events, my wife tends to. She says everyone does it, but she takes the centerpieces. And she did that in El Paso whenever we go to events, but like the governor's ball, like stuff like that. She works for the state. So they would always have like nice arrangements. And at the end of the night, she's like, will you grab one of those for me? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, no. And she's like, no, get one. I'm going to get one too. And I'm like, oh my God, we're taking two? Freaking huge. And I'm like, no, and then I look and I'm seeing, and I was like, okay, I guess other people are doing it. That's fine. So, bro, that event here, or not here, but at Q2, in the lower level of Founders Club or whatever, the field, there were centerpieces. And, bro, you know where I'm going with this. So my wife is like, hey, I'm going to get one. We go. I'm like, no. This is right after Josh Wolf has just said, like, all right, let's do it. And I'm like, no, not going to. And then I swear I have the picture. I look over across, and Josh Wolf's wife is pointing to a table, and Josh Wolf goes up to get a centerpiece. Claudio Reyna is getting a centerpiece at these two tables. And then I was like, is this really happening? I walked up to them, and I literally just met them. They don't know who. I mean, yes, he's listening. I said, fuckers, are you taking a centerpiece? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, fucking me too. I'm like,
sweet.
Bro, we were all in the same position sitting there, our wives making us take a centerpiece. And I was like, can I get a picture with y'all holding these centerpieces? It's not that I want to, this is an Austin FC thing.
It's the joke of it.
This shit happens. Yeah. And we all took a picture together, and it's the most amazing picture. We're holding the biggest centerpieces because our wives had made us take these things home. The centerpieces were amazing, I will say. That lasted like 2 weeks, bro. I mean, Austin FC went to town on these centerpieces, spent a fortune. We re-gifted it to my kids' like teachers. Because my wife had one and I had one.
Yeah, so.
Oh, it was great.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's when you can tell like they're human beings at the end of the day.
Dude,
you're Josh Wolf, Claudio Reyna, Rodo, but at the house, you gotta still watch.
I mean, I forgot who I was talking. I was talking to dudes, the Moon Tower dudes, and I told them, and I told them that story. And they were like, so that's why you're wolfing? And I was like, he's away from, he seemed cool, like fine. Like, I mean, I'm not, from my prior run, and I had nothing bad to say about the dude.
You know, they have the Lexus Club, the Captain Morgan Club. Mm-hmm. You guys have a secret centerpiece club.
It's the centerpiece. It was the centerpiece club. It absolutely was, man. But hey, I'm a believer of everything happens for a reason, all that. And it's like, I will say, I know you're going to get into Austin FC a little bit later, but as a fairly new fan, I've made so many observations of the fan base, of everything. And it's good, and it's not bad, but it's funny.
It's entertaining.
It's
super.
Amazing.
I mean, especially when you're. I try to also not get into it as well.
Oh yeah.
But when you seen them, you just go at it and just like, let me put the popcorn in the beer. And
they have no. I mean, I say they also see. I mean, maybe it's a soccer thing, but they have no patience for coaches whatsoever. Like I grew up. I grew up in a Cowboys household, bro, where it's like it's the same thing every year, and it's just like, and it's like. And I remember, and again, I was fairly new. I'm fairly new to the game here, so. But it's like literally, like Josh Wolf had just come off of like winning the West or almost winning the West, and then came back and then had a rough year. But it's like, and then they wanted his head, and I'm like, what am I missing here? Isn't this team like 3 years old? Like I was like, expansion team's doing pretty good because I follow NFL and I'm like, they're all right, but it's like I know it's a completely different game. But I mean, it's just it's funny just because I've learned that in soccer that there's not a lot of patience for coaches or managers.
It is. I mean,
but that's as far as I get into all that stuff. I don't want to be involved in any of that. None of that. It takes away from being a fan, man.
And that's actually a fair thing to say because coming in wanting to have a good time, there's nothing wrong with that. You're paying your own ticket. You're buying your own beer. You're buying your own, whatever you want to consume in there, what you eat. That is like, it's different whenever I would say like, oh, the club's paying you. Like, no, you're paying for your own stuff. Like, you get to decide what you want. You're a consumer, and hey, if it's for the vibes, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. So going into Austin FC, before we go into it, I want to say cheers.
Yeah.
Going like talking about that centerpiece part. That's pretty cool.
I mean, again, I'll send you the link on Instagram. It's at Alex D Franco. You got to dig deep. I think it's March 2023. But dude, it was amazing.
Are you cool if I find the picture and I'm actually use it for a reel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect.
I posted on there. I asked him. I was like, "Do you mind if I get a picture?"
Yeah.
I was like, "This is one of those where it's like normally like." I don't like posting people's business, but I was like, I have to post this. This is amazing.
It's like at the moment it's
yeah.
fair. It's like no, and I'm pretty sure they also took it as like a compliment too.
I mean, it's like one of those things. It's like I didn't want to talk soccer.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to talk about stealing centerpieces at events like this. This is amazing.
Like there's something we can relate to, and it's just that centerpiece part.
Yeah, that's it.
But talking about going into Austin FC, I want to not really talk about results and the team's going through a rebuild, and we already know that. But going into you had mentioned whenever we first started talking in messages, when you first came, you said you've gone to a good amount of stadiums in the world, and then you came here and there was something different. What is? Dude. Can you share with the audience what was different about Austin and compared to the other place?
So in a nutshell, like growing up, so I grew up in El Paso. So of course, the Mexican national team. I was next to Juarez, that's everyone loved them, they loved Team USA too, but there was never, I never really, that was it. It was never MLS or Premier League or anything like that in my book. But I was never a big soccer fan. And here's the funny thing. I played as a kid, but watching it, and I know why. I know exactly why I didn't get into it. And there was a time in my life where I said, fuck soccer. Like I was like, because I was, it was like during the David Beckham days and not MLS, but, I'd run around and talk to, friends that were super, they felt very snobby. And it's like, I didn't know anything about soccer. I didn't know anything about Premier League or anything like this or anything about soccer. And it's one of those where I wanted to kind of know maybe. And no one had time to explain. They didn't, not even explain, but they just like, it felt snobby. The sport felt really snobby. Yeah. And I was just like, fuck them, and I was like, and then I went on that whole, like, ooh, 1-0, I'm an NFL guy, and that's how it was for majority of, up until recently, because I was burned on it. It wasn't that soccer did it. It was just the people that like, and then I would try to, I would try to watch like some like watching just a Premier League match or something like that, and the way the commentators are, there's no explaining if you're new to it. There's no stopping down. Well, this person did this. No, and that was an awful English accent, by the way. Sorry about that. But there's no stopping down. Like I watched, bro. I watched NASCAR. I loved NASCAR. And one of the networks does a very good job of stopping and realizing that there's new audience and every day, and they're trying to get new fans, and they got to explain stuff. And that wasn't happening when I was trying to watch soccer, and I'm like, nope, I'm out. I don't. And honestly, it wasn't until Austin FC came, or they weren't even here yet, when I was blown away because it's so our station, media, prior to the team having a stadium here, they were doing a media tour, they were giving out, you remember the Verde van giving out free hats and scarves to everyone on the streets, and show up to bars. They'd show up to radios, they'd show up to our station, they'd show up to all the TV stations, everyone, and hand out swag and, hey, we're going to be here soon, support us, and they did it right. They got the word out. And I was like, well, this is cool, but then I looked, but then I was like, it's soccer. And I was like, and so we started doing events for Austin FC. And, I remember the first thing I ever done was tailgating over at Circle Brewery right over across from Q2, which is not there anymore. But we would be out there doing, right. We'd be out there doing events. And I remember it was the 2022 season. And Sean Macker, afternoon guy, we would split duties. I'd go to the early part of the tailgate, and be out there, host it, and then he would do the second part, and he would go to the game, and then I would kind of cover after, And I'd never. Is it match or game? It's either or, right, here in the U.S.?
Yeah, either or.
Okay. So he would go to the match, and I would stick behind at circle, and I never...
He would go to the match, or you go to the game?
No, I wouldn't even go to the game. I would stay in the parking lot and watch it on TV, but I wasn't even watching. I was just hanging out, drinking beer with people, and I'd never been, and it's just crazy because the stadium was right across. You see the lights, and it's like, oh, wow, cool. But what's funny is, let's rewind and go back to that media tour. Mm-hmm. So... when I finally saw the door open for me to be a fan of soccer, weird. The person that opened that door was the team president, was Andy Loughnane. He was in our building doing an interview, and I was there, and we were there with our station, and I met him, and he's like, man, we need to talk soccer. Let's get some microphones. Let's talk soccer. And I was like, here's the thing. I said, dude, I'm going to shoot straight with you. I mean, you're the man. You're the president. I was like, I don't know much about soccer. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to ask, what to do. And he said, great. I want to teach you. I want to talk soccer. And I was like, and that's when I saw that window open. I was like, out of all these years, the dickheads that I got that shut the door for me when I tried to figure out Premier League or soccer, and the dude that opened the door is the president of Austin FC. And I was like, come on, man, that's special.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. When I knew this team was special, that, I was like, okay, So, we talked, and it was cool. And he's like, you got to get to a match when you have to stay. I'm like, yeah, I was like, that's cool. I was like, pound, I was like, well, if everyone's like this guy for the organization, they're going to do all right. Mm-hmm. And that's how it's been, man. It's like, what's crazy about it is that we did the tailgates after their first season, and then I ended up running into Andy at an event at the Moody Center when the Moody Center opened up. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, what's up, man? He's like, dude, have you been to a match yet? And I'm like, and it's one of those again where he's like, let's talk soccer. And I was like, I don't know about soccer. And I was like, I feel like I couldn't lie to the man. I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, no, but I will. He's like, you better. You got to take your... And I was like, okay. And then thank God, I forgot when that was, but my son, who was probably 8 or 9 at the time, wasn't into soccer either, but got into soccer because he goes to a dual language school. Okay. And all his boys were all about soccer because World Cup was going on. Yeah. And so my son comes home, he's like, let's watch. He's like, he thinks he's all Messi.
2022.
Yeah, it was 2022. Yeah. And so I'm like, let's watch. And dude, it's like everything was just happening and leading towards we were watching these matches, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, this is awesome, and I got into it, and then and then come March, I guess it was March 2nd or maybe even February, first match of the season for Austin FC, we got tickets. My wife and I, we made it a family thing, My wife and my daughter and my son, we all went, and it was our first match ever, and it was like, we pulled up, and I'm all joking up, weird.
Me too.
It's funny because we parked and but I guess is it the south entrance where like when you walk in and there's that big bear and the DJ is like there. Yeah. It was a 7:30 match, and gates were at 6, and my son was like, we got to get there early. We got to get there right at 6. And I was like, okay, let's do it, Yeah. And then in my head I'm like, I never get to places at 6. That's way early. But I was like, let's do it. I wanted to do it for him. Let's do it. We did it. And dude, I'm not gonna lie. I got video like of him walking up, and he's like looking, and it's like the lights were like dim green, the DJ spinning, the crowd. This is at 6 p.m., dude. 6 when the doors open. The fans, the supporter section, they're just out there, and people are just, everyone is in a jersey. Everyone's just hanging out. There were just people drinking beers and hanging out. I was just like, I swear to God, dude, I stopped and looked around, and I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. And you asked the question earlier about me and going to different stadiums. I've never felt, and I'm not bullshitting, dude, I've never felt love like I felt walking into the first time at Q2 Stadium, ever. And I wasn't even a big soccer guy yet. Mm-hmm. I was just like, damn, I was just taken back. Like, seriously, just sit back and just like, wow. And it's like, I get it now. And it was like, I was like, I'm so glad I'm here now. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm glad I showed up to the party. I was late 2 years, but it was awesome. It was just awesome. I mean, places I've been to, there's nothing. There are fights in the crowd. There's people that just aren't fans, that aren't into it. There's people that just don't give a damn. And I kid you not, like everyone in that stadium cared, and just it was just awesome. And I was hooked. Mm-hmm. And after that, dude, I was just like, I'm here all the time. I will always be here. And thank God they won that. I mean, we were sitting literally like 3 rows up, and I think section 118, and I think the families sit around there of the players at the time, and they were playing, I believe, was it Montreal? But it was the first game of the 2023 season, and Rudy scored the 1 goal like with 90 minutes left for them to win, and literally the team ran in the corner where we were at, and
he did that.
The explosion, and I've never been that close to the action, and I was just like, wow. And, dude, I'm not saying this just to say this. I mean, I'm dead serious, man. Like, for what we paid for the tickets, it's just like, I'm like, it's amazing, dude. It's just an amazing experience, and it sucks for people that haven't been, because they're missing out, man. It's like, again, it's just a vibe. It's like, if you're not a big soccer person, it'll suck you in, dude, your first time. It really will. Like, that supporter section really, really will. Those dudes are nonstop, man. Everyone in that section cheering, playing their instruments, the flags. It's that without them, it's like, I guess that's all the other stadiums that I've been to that have never had that, and that's why they're nothing like what Q2 is.
So it's like you're talking about like a very important thing, right? How Andy cared. Of course he got to meet you once and. You're like, yeah, I'll teach you and whatnot. But the fact that he came back and asked you,
oh, I know,
have you been?
Yeah.
I think that was a key moment. You're like, man, okay, I got to go.
I felt like, I kid you not, I felt like I had to. It's like I've talked to this dude a couple times, but he's always been great, prior. And I'm like, I have to go. I can't let this guy down. It's like, this is the president of the team. He's like, you haven't been? And so, yeah. I mean, but it's like, again, like I said, if this is how the president is, everyone in this organization is going to be like this, and everyone has. Seriously, dude, the experience I've had and being fortunate in media like you guys, going to these events. I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I know I'm media. I know we're media, and I know media gets, like, media passes, goes to matches and stuff like that. Dude, I don't and I won't get a media pass because I feel like I have to separate. Like, because I don't cover it like the way you guys cover it. Yeah. I talk to people that never been to, like, hey, let's go. You got to go check this out. Get people that have never been. Where you guys are covering, transactions and stuff that'll take everything away from me, like the fun, the joy. That's where I draw that line. I'm like, I'll never use a media pass to get in that place. I'll always find some tickets on SeatGeek or something to take my son, because this is something that we have. It's like, it's just, you can't beat it, man. It's like there's families and parents that are looking to have that special bond and that one thing, and and Austin FC is that for my 10-year-old and I. Yeah,
and that's great because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's, yes, it's a team that has to be based on results, and we get that, right? And, everything that goes around it when it comes to transactions, who comes, who leaves, but sometimes we forget about that bonding with our kids, that joy that we have. I don't have kids, but, like say with my wife, she's gone to games where she won the games that we won this year. They won. I think there's only one where we tied, but
she got lucky.
She's the lucky charm. She didn't go the 2023 season, but she went this past season. And then especially the one goal where I can't remember who scored the last minute, and it just blew out, and we were losing, and we caught up, and
wasn't it Colorado the last game?
I think it was Colorado.
No, dude, what a beautiful moment I had with my son too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like people. It's so funny, bro, because most people at other stadiums and other teams would have left. Nobody left Q2. Everybody stayed. Everything happened after the 90th minute. It's just beautiful to see that.
And like going into that, right? Like my wife and I, she's never really liked soccer, but she comes and she already told me, like, hey, I wanted the New Jersey. And like, cool. Yes. And then, am I going to go to the first game or not? And then, of course, like for me, like thinking about soccer now, it's more like I want to be involved behind the scenes. I want to learn more about what's going on to communicate. But whenever I don't have the media badge or I don't apply, that's when I'm Rich is a fan. And that's when you're going to see me with my shirt off. And that's when you're going to see me going at it.
That's the best.
And that's the best. But a lot of it is it's. I mean, when the team wins, everybody has a good time with it, and you also feel it when the team loses. Man, everybody's sad, and that's part of it. But when they win, everybody's cool.
Oh yeah, you stay late in the stadium.
You stay late.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Like I was telling you, my son, like no joke. We have our deal is we get dropped off by either my wife or we take an Uber to the stadium because I know I'm gonna have beers.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess with that with driving my son.
Yeah.
And we stay late. You know, that's the thing. We always stay late no matter what. You know, he wants to stay late and do that, so we'll hang out and wait till the Lions die out, and we'll do our thing. But I have no problem doing that, just because again, everything I told you about that vibe of the stadium. You know, it's amazing.
He's gonna come, and one thing he's gonna share, like, man, an experience that I had going to the game is with my dad.
Oh yeah, and I never had that. And it's not that I didn't. It's not that my dad never did wanted to do that probably, but just growing up in El Paso, we didn't have many teams. You know, we had UTEP, we had the Diablos, the baseball team. We had the Locomotive is there when we have the El Paso Chihuahuas. But you know, my dad never. You know, we never got there early because it's just it just wasn't a thing. But it's like my son wants to get there early, and that's his thing. And it's like I always told him, I said, no matter what you're into, no matter what you do, if you love it, put 100% into it and let's do it, you know. And when you're done and you're tired of it, just let us know and we'll do something else. And that goes for being a fan too. Like, if you're gonna be a fan, let's do it. You know, it's so funny, dude. Like, honestly, like when these players do signings, I'll never forget. Like, was it John Gallagher was having a signing here at Q2 at the Verde store, and my son was in line to get an autograph, and the person from Austin FC was one of the communications person was taking the pictures. Mm-hmm. And she's like, do you want to get in? And I'm like, no. And she's like, you sure? And I was like, no. And I was like, it's nothing against, like, and I told John Gallagher this, and he probably didn't give a damn, but I was like, this is my son's thing.
Yeah.
This is his. I want him to have this. Like, I don't want to be in the picture with the three of them. I want him to be in the picture with them because this is his thing. I'm here to support. I love everything going on. Don't get me wrong, but this is his thing, you know? He got me into it. My son got me into Austin FC and soccer in general, and I'm so thankful for it, and that's why I support 100% everything that he wants to do with the team and help out and all that.
That's great. And then, I mean, when like, say, coming from the radio part and then seeing all this Austin FC part, communicating it, what did the audience tell you about it when they first learned about it? How you talk to anyone like, man, had a similar experience that you had or something similar?
Whenever I tell people, whenever people hear about this, they're like, man, I wish I had this experience with my son, and just like, and people were just blown up. Dude, like, whenever I tell my friends, my friends, again, were who I was, like, 1-0, like, so, I'm like, give it a chance, bro. Yeah. I'm like, I was that guy. And I owned it on there. I'm like, I was that guy. I have no problem owning it and saying I was that guy, but I learned and I regret being that guy. I wish the door would have opened to soccer a lot earlier, but it did it when it did. And like I said earlier, everything happens for a reason. But when I bring my friends to matches, but I'm like, hey, let's go, let's do this. And it's like they're just blown away. They're just like, damn. They're like, okay, this is cool too, because it's not just about look. Hardcore fans will see it's about the product on the field.
Yeah.
Me, like, early on, and like people that I bring in, it's about that, but it's about everything else going on and everything behind the scenes and all the local places where you can get beer and all the food and hanging out in the vibe. Even in the worst, hottest days of summer, the way that stadium was built, the construction of it, like the wind blows it, but the breeze, I'm like, it's all right,
Yeah.
It's not as hot as it is, but it's all right. It's all right.
I was talking to someone during the open training session, and they were actually talking about, we were talking about that because it was cold, right? Uh-huh. And there was wind. It was hitting us, but then the sun was hitting the north side of the stadium. Mm-hmm. So everybody, the majority of people were like on the north side of the stadium.
They're like, we're going over here.
So we're like, we're going to stay here. But then we were talking about it, like how during the summer, because I've been to, the stadiums where it's enclosed and there's no ventilation. And here it is hot, but you don't really, like for me, I'm up there, and when I have to cover even in the stands, I'm okay. I can bear it. I can deal with it. Because, and also when the games are happening, it's already close to sunset. By the time you're second half, you're already pretty much nighttime. And they also delay the games too. So
Yeah.
that helps. I mean,
that's awesome.
That helps. Yeah.
It really does. It really does. When it's like 115 and it's like, we're going to push this to 9. It's like, cool. Thank you.
Take it. Did you ever go to one of the delayed games whenever it was pushed to almost 2 a.m. or 1 a.m?
Dude, so this is what's crazy. So so you're talking about the LA Galaxy in 2023.
Yes.
The one that ended like at 2:30 or
right
3 a.m.
before
on
kickoff.
Apple. Yeah. No, dude, that's so what's crazy about that. And so what's wild is so my brother passed away on the 17th of September of that year. And so that game was, I'll never forget, that game was September 24th. And my son and I had tickets. Actually, my wife, my son and daughter and I, we got a great deal. We got tickets, and we were sitting, and we never do, but we were sitting in the Lexus Club. Mm-hmm. And then so when my brother passed away, I had to fly home to El Paso, and it's like, my wife was like, "Don't worry about the tickets," my son. But I was like, something inside me was like, we have to fly back. We have to fly back, and then we'll fly back to El Paso. I was like, we never do this. Let's my parents will be fine about us leaving for the day, and flying to Austin just to come to that match. And so we did. We flew in that morning, and then we went to it, and our flight was the next morning. Yeah, I know. And but the crazy thing about it is that so when my brother passed away, we had his funeral was I believe the day, it was the day 2 days before, on the 22nd, and in El Paso it never rains, bro. It never rains.
Yeah,
never rains. And so the day of his funeral, we had all his friends and everyone came by and hung out in the backyard in El Paso at my parents' place, and then a rainbow over the backyard. I can't make this up. And then it was raining. It was pouring, and I'm like, well, this is weird. And it's like is it a sign? It's different because it never rains. And then so when we flew back to Austin, that night it poured. It was like, wow. Excuse me.
No, you're good.
It poured, and it was delayed, but it was like, wow, there's something special about it. And so it's funny, while people were trying to take cover in the Lexus Club or wherever, my son was like, hey, can we go with the supporters? Because there was a handful of them still playing.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, why not? I was like, fuck it, let's go. And so I told my wife and daughter, like, hey, we're going to go. And she's like, really? And the people that were like taking cover were like, you're going to go out there? And I was like, yeah, he wants to go. And it's like, and so, because my son saw the supporters, the handful that were there still playing their instrument with their flags and going crazy. And they were doing it for like an hour or two already in the game. It's raining and hailing. And let's go. We went. We went up there, and, Sean, Danny were there, and we were right behind them, man, and soaked. But it felt so good.
Yeah.
Something just felt so good. It's like the answer to, I was questioning, why are we here? We got to fly back. It's like, there was a reason, again, going back to everything happens for a reason. There was a reason to leave El Paso after my brother's funeral to make it to the LA Galaxy game for this moment, and it was so funny because behind us, or we were, my son was there. We were up there for almost an hour, and then I was like, finally, let's go back. And then, and dude, there was this big ass dude that was behind me. He was wearing an LA Galaxy shirt, and he was with a bunch of people, big old cholo dude.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he's like, hey, bro. And I was like,
so pissy.
Let's go. And he's like, hey, hey, bro. He's all, don't ever let anyone tell you you're a bad dad, bro. That's good shit.
Damn.
And then, and I was like, hey, man, thank you, man. And then my son and I walked off, and I was like, that was cool. Yeah. It's a cool moment. We went into the Lex Club. Everyone thought we did not belong there.
Yeah.
Because we were all outside. Like, with these guys that snuck in. But again, it was like, everything happens for a reason, man. How I found this team and how my son pulled me into it. And again, going back to that love, it's like crazy when I needed support and something in my life with my brother passing. I found relief with this crowd, and this crowd didn't know, and it felt so good, even though it started way late. We stayed till as long as we could. The kids were falling apart, and we watched the rest on Apple TV. Yeah. But it's just like the team has been there when I needed it, and they don't even know. It's like it's brought my son and I this joy. It's brought support through tough times. It's just been great. It's been great for all the weird reasons, and not. That's why I say it's not about the field, not about the behind the scenes, about who gets fired, what.
The meaning behind it in your life.
No, it's just about everything in general, the organization, the fans, just everything the vibe is that it is, and that's why I love it, and that's why I stay pure to not caring about transactions and this and that. Yeah. I'm pure to just the vibe and the love I get from that stadium when there's matches.
Which we are not going to go into those later episodes. We'll have that, but. For me, the key part is your story and how it connected with this. Because usually whenever I ask people, hey, I want to come talk about the team, they talk about the team and results and cool. But
was I too much?
No. It was great. It's perfect. And then you talk about something that was meaningful to you.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. That's what it's called, football. That's what it's, that's what I have a friend who said, like, when you think of El Barrio, you think of soccer. Because the life around it, like everything connects to it, and that's why it's so meaningful in every place in the world and how it hits many different people. For example, if a team wins a World Cup, how much joy does that country get?
Oh yeah,
especially like Argentina going through a financial crisis, Croatia losing a final in 2018, but having their president come and hug each player after the final. All of that is part of it. My team winning 3 in a row because they're the best, of course. It's like that, it's amazing because it's the result, right? But it's also just the process. And for me, seeing that process, seeing that, the meaning in your life, it's great. And I appreciate you for sharing that, and like sharing this story, like it means a lot. For you to have it here, and
I've never told it to anyone. Yeah. I mean, that's why I apologize for breaking.
Oh no, you're good.
I don't, it's like I don't get emotional, but it's like I've felt like that's been built up, and it's hard. It's funny because you want to talk soccer with everyone because now if you're a fan, and it's like a lot of people that I know I'm bringing them over little by little, but it's like you don't know until you go into that stadium, and that vibe,
And it all comes with the invitation from the president, but now him following back. I mean, he could have also just forgotten, like, he didn't go, whatever. But it's like, no, you got to go. Like, you have to go, and then you come, and then. Seeing that, and from when you first walk in and seeing your kid, especially because, the most important thing in your life is your family,
right?
Your wife and your kids. Is having that moment with your kid, it's amazing, and I hope everyone that beyond the results, that I'm pretty sure you're not the only one where like I've had pictures of parents where his daughter, like this one guy, his daughter is basically, I can't remember the name of the word. I think it's Yellow Submarine. And there's some signs, hand signs that go with the song, and she's doing them. So I actually have pictures and like a sequence of like her just doing every sign. That part is like, that's what it's at. Because a lot of the kids, they want to go have fun. It's a radio station too.
Yeah.
Man, tough day, busy day at work. You want to have a good time, and the result is there. But when you want to have a good time at the end of the day, it's like that's where it's at, and that's and that has a lot as much or more value than a team winning or losing.
Yeah, I mean, like when I said earlier, like how fun is contagious. You have to have fun because people can sniff it out when you're not having fun, and people won't have fun unless they hear you're having fun. I mean. It's the team. It's the fans. It's everyone with it's fun. They're having fun, so that's why I enjoy it, and I understand it. I get it. The whole fun thing. The one. Speaking of fun, just everyone, like how you I've never had a. It's like it's like if there was ever like a best moment like of the year kind of thing. I'm gonna tell you right now, like everyone has their moments of like, oh, you know, one of the biggest plays or one of something that made something special. You know, the top 5 or this thing. Bro, I think my son will say it too, but our number one moment was Stephen Cleveland.
Yeah, the goalie.
Yeah,
when he stopped the penalty against Pumas.
Yeah, that was my highlight of the year for Austin FC. Like my son and I were literally at the end of the year, we were going through my phone and going through highlights, and we were laughing about it because the backstory of that, and no one knows this, but my son when we get there at 6, we'll sit in the stands because he's the only one sitting there basically. And whenever the players run out, he'll yell to every player like, "Hey!" You know, and they wave, and he'll wave. And when I say every player, I mean every player, not just the stars. Like the people that are, you know, like you're Stephen Cleveland. But it's Stephen, right? Cleveland?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We're Cleveland's out there warming up, Stuver, and yeah, Cleveland's a star, but he's not the starting goalkeeper for Austin FC. Yeah. But my son Jake's waving. He's like Cleveland, and it's like, how many kids are yelling Cleveland at Q2? None.
They're all Stuver.
No, yeah, exactly. So the fact that what happened is I turned my back for some reason, and Cleveland's running in, and Cleveland throws my son his gloves. And I turn back and I look and I'm like, Jacob, where'd you get those? And he's like, Cleveland just gave me. Like, how? Why? He's like, I don't know. I said hi earlier. I'm like, and then I was like, oh my God. And all these other parents were like, wow. But it's like one of those things where it's like he recognized Cleveland and yelled, hey, and just said hi. He didn't ask for him. I know he didn't ask for him because I said, did you ask? Yeah. He's like, no. And I was like, that's cool. And it's like the fact that he felt good. It made his day. It's just that
he felt recognized.
He felt recognized, absolutely. So I ended up telling my son that night, I said, hey man, next time we go to a game, whatever, like, thank him, because he ran off and he's like, oh no, I will. And it was right around, maybe it was around his birthday, I forget, but my son had some extra money and check this out. This is where I was like, we did good. We're doing something right, if anything. But my son was like, hey man, Dad, you think we can get, because I always told my son this. I tell my son and my daughter this. I say, make sure you take care of people that take care of you. That's my advice, no matter what, no matter who it is. Just take care of them, whether we're acknowledging them or just always acknowledge the little things like the Cleveland thing. And so my son was like, can we get Cleveland a gift card from Amazon? And I was like, is that what you want to do? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And so, dude, he gave him a gift. He wrote on the back of the Amazon gift card. It was his own money. He wrote like, thank you for the gloves. And Cleveland was running by, and he's like, Cleveland. And dude, Cleveland was gonna hand him another glove. He's like, no. I was like, no. I was like, no. And Jake was like, no. And he's like, this is for you. And he was like, really? And I'll never forget it. And this is one of those things where I could have recorded it, but this is a special moment. I just want to watch it.
Picture.
Yeah, and so Cleveland said, "Thank you, man." And then we like a game passed, or they had an away game, and then that next game, dude, Cleveland goes up to my son running in and hands him a jersey. It wasn't the one he was wearing. It was one that he had, and he wrote, and he gave it to Jake. He said, "Here you go, dude." And I was like, "Oh!" And he opened up, and it said, "Continue being kind, Stephen Cleveland." And it's just like,
that's cool.
It's just, and then that freaking moment against Pumas, I was just like, and I was in Vegas at the time, and I was watching it in the sports book. I was the only guy in the sports book with a little TV in front of me that was on watching.
Betting for Cleveland.
I wasn't even betting, but I was watching it because I was told, one of my friends, they reached out, they said, dude, make sure you watch the match. And I'm like, and I saw it, I'm like, oh my God. And the ending, I was just like, it was the most amazing thing. I was sitting there just like in tears, just like, it's like, it just felt like you had a connection with someone that you never knew. And then like it was just amazing. Again, going back to that vibe, that feel, that Q2 thing. I mean, they shouldn't have beat Pumas, right?
No, we were actually not supposed to beat Pumas and Monterrey.
But how great was that vibe, that feeling?
The penalty, and Cleveland had a bad, pretty much, he had like a bad moment during the game, and one of the goals was scored because of like him having a mistake. But he saved the penalty. That caused so much buzz in Mexico because you're beating the top 4, right? Oh. So, I mean, there were times where like Pumas couldn't beat Austin FC.
But it was so good.
Now, the question is, what did Cleveland buy with that Amazon gift card?
I know.
That's
he told me.
Yeah.
He told us. He told Jake because Jake asked him. My son, 10-year-olds, bro, have no filter whatsoever. Yeah. He asked him. He said, "What'd you get?" And then he started laughing. He's like, "Dude," he said he got a
icy hot.
he said he just had a baby, and they bought bottles on Amazon.
Oh wow!
Can you believe that, bro? That's so funny, man. Again, I would have never asked that.
Yeah. I
was mortified when my son asked him, like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "This is really," but he answered, and I was like, good for you.
That's good. That's good. I mean, it's a cycle. Like I think like earlier, man. I want to cheers because that's amazing. Like I've had good stories, right? But then everything you're talking about it's like, man, for me as someone who wants to share stories, this is what it's all about. So hearing that, like, and especially in that moment from Cleveland and him stopping the penalty, I could have, I don't know, maybe Cleveland was waiting for that chance, and he's like, man, I'm gonna do it for my career, but it's also like I got a kid behind me right here that that is paying it, like he just wants to say hi, and I gotta do it for him, for the fans in the stadium.
Oh,
for my
dude,
career.
It was the biggest moment, man. I mean, I'm telling you, that was my favorite moment of the year. Yeah. Like honestly, out of everything that happened, anyone and everything, it's like that one moment, dude. Dude ain't even a starter, but just came up and just was clutch, and it was just the most. It was special to me.
Yeah,
and my son. So,
man, I'm glad. And right now, your son he's 10 or how old?
10. He plays soccer.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna shoot straight. And it's like I tell him, you can work for Austin FC.
Yeah.
I said, you could, if you keep up your grades and this and that, and you do well, and this goes back to math and accounting. I said, you could be signing checks for that team when you get older. You could be an intern for the group. I never say, I mean, look, sure, but I don't think he'll be playing for the team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be that dad. Like, you can do anything.
Yeah, that's what my dad told me whenever he's like, nah. Like, think of something else.
I'm like, you can be a part of the team, bro, but you got to work for Austin FC.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's ways you can be involved.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And he knows it. So
communications.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you don't have to play for the team to be a part of the team, you know? And if you want to be in Austin, this is a good place. Because if you play for the team, you never know where you'll go. You may not be in Austin if you love Austin that much.
Yeah.
But he also plays baseball, too. He's just he's just a 10-year-old, bro. He's just all into that, into sports, whatever his friends are into. And thank God his friends are into soccer. And that's the thing, too. Like, all his friends and family, they all hang out at Q2 and there's games. So it's like a big family thing. It's a family.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad, man. And looking forward to it. I'm also going to plug in Verde Fest. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
So that's going to be a meanwhile on the night before the game, which is the 21st of February.
Yep.
Meanwhile, from 6 to 12,
mm-hmm.
there's going to be bands, celebration, support created by the supporters. And La Murga is going to have a lot of their band members with their band playing. A lot of the Murga members are going to be playing with their bands. So if you want to come,
I love it.
Check out the vibes.
Love it.
You can bring your dog if you have your dog. You can
don't have a dog, but I'll bring the family.
Bring the family.
It's like it. I think earlier this year, it's so funny because everyone goes to Meanwhile, and I had never been, and I finally went. I'm like, oh, this is what everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's good, man.
It's good.
It's huge, big, and a great place to get together for that. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, and then you'll be more of a. If you already feel that moment with the people, now you're gonna be like submerged because it's all right there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love it.
Hope to see you there.
Absolutely excited for the season, man.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I missed it. I really miss going to Q2. I miss everything about it because it feels again like family, man. I mean, I miss it. I can't wait for the first game. Yeah, it's the first match.
It's that feeling like that. We're getting ready. It's a little bit over a month, before, like less than a month now. And before we close, I always have this one important question, and a lot of it is going into mental health. What do you do to remain sane, balancing your job, balancing family, and also balancing your vibes for Austin FC?
I mean, honestly, I read everything y'all or the people that cover Austin FC, everything they do on social media, everything they post when they're mad, when they, I stay away from all that. Again, in media, do a different part, for media, for Austin FC. But because I would be going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it blows my mind. Like, honestly, my whole thing is, and it's probably not everyone's favorite, but I literally, when I got involved with being a fan of Austin FC, I said, I'm not going to get involved in the politics. I don't want to know. I want to be pure a fan, and I want to trust the people that make decisions on the team, that they're making the best decisions, because it's like it's a business at the end of the day, and I don't think they want to tank their business. So who am I, or who are other people to say that they know better than the people that are making the decisions? I just hope and pray. I mean, that they make the best decisions, and I know they will. I have faith, because I'm not going to make a decision. And if I have a decision, if I have something in my head, a way to do things, no one's going to listen to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I could be upset, and I could go on social media and blast and be pissed in the face, blue in the face. It ain't going to change what they're thinking or what the team's doing. I grew up in a Cowboys household, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget going after not this past season, but the season before, the last game, LAFC here. Was it like 5-0 or 5-1 or something like that? And my son, we left. He stayed. We stayed for the whole thing, and that was one of those where we left a little early, but he just had to watch it unfold. And we got an Uber, we got home, and then we walked inside the house, and it was like 11 o'clock, and I had a few because it was the last one, and he's like, Dad,
because why not?
Why not? Because why not? And he was like, Dad, I don't know if I can be an Austin FC fan anymore. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like in my head, in the fog, my head's clearing up, and it's like, okay, here's a parenting moment. And so it's a school night. It's 11 o'clock. Got a good buzz. My wife and daughter are upstairs asleep. I said, Jake, go ask Alexa, when's the last time the Dallas Cowboys have been to the Super Bowl? And he went and asked. And then Alexa said 26 years or something like that. And I said, Jake, I was like, I grew up in a Cowboys household, and I've stuck around. This team pisses me off. And that's just being a fan of a team. There's highs, there's lows. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of lows if you're a Cowboys fan. Yeah. But that's what a fan is. It's the way it makes you feel inside. Because when those highs, man, when it's good, it's good. When it's low, but you just stick through it. I said, you stick through it, dude. You just can't quit, man. Mm-hmm. But I said, I understand how you feel. And if that's how you feel, all good. And then I hear my wife, Alex. I'm like, yes.
Go to sleep.
Yes. Shut up. Go to bed. I'm like, all right. And I said, Jake, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Let me know what you think. And I picked him up for school, and he's like, Dad, I'm gonna be an Austin FC fan. We're good. But it was his first season of dealing with heartache, and it's his first time ever a kid dealing with. But his emotions that he showed and all that, he doesn't have to say that he's a fan. I already know. He's a fan. Yeah. That's what we feel as fans. So
he's expressing how he feels.
So yeah, but it's like, but again, him and I don't get into the politics of that. When you ask about mental health, and I feel like I can't handle that. Yeah. I don't want it. It's just something that you're going to try to fix, and you can't fix it. You ain't going to fix it. Yeah. You don't make the decisions. Getting out to places like that, it's a break in the everyday. Honestly, dude, it's the best 90 minutes or 95 or whatever. So where you don't think of anything. And you just think of everything on the field happening. You think of that big-ass pretzel you're eating. You think about the beer you're having. You think about the time you're having, the score, whenever someone scores a goal and you have your son or whoever next to you, or the person you don't know, just you freaking hug. Yeah. That it makes you feel really good for a while. And then you go home and and then life all starts all over again. But it's like you get your refresher. That's how I look at home games. Home games for me, dude, are just like a reset, where you can just leave everything and hang it up, come and hang out, and then be a fan, and then live life and have the best 90-some minutes of your life, and then go back to the real world, because, unfortunately, a lot of shit happens, and then it gets to you. And, all the resources out there for mental health, that sometimes can't even help, it just sucks. But it's just like, you got to take a break sometimes, you got to people, not everyone can do it, but you just got to pause and find something that you enjoy and take a break, and then going to games and just being there for 95 minutes and enjoying everything happening on the field, everything going around. It helps a lot.
That's good. I think the word you said, reset. A lot of times we get so busy and we don't think about just taking a break. you know, and taking a break helps.
Oh.
And, you know, and also not getting involved with whatever you can't control also helps.
I mean, amen. Seriously.
So, but Alex, my man, thank you for coming.
Thank you for letting me
Appreciate you coming here.
go through every emotion possible.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I enjoy it.
I feel, again, you know, honestly, it felt really good doing that. You know, I feel really good. I mean, you talk about mental health, just break and reset. I felt like I hadn't had that conversation with anyone about all that, about how it makes you feel, and just like how these, you know, this team and the fans and the supporter section, all that, were there for you at a time that they didn't know what was going on, but you know, but you knew you needed to be around people, and here they were. Oh yeah,
for sure. How can people find you? You know, follow you, and like, how can they learn about, you know, your show in the mornings?
No, you're new to Austin. You know, Mix 94.7 on the radio. Yes, they're in the cars. You just push get away from
FM.
CarPlay and just push FM. But if you're on CarPlay, you can download the Odyssey app. It's spelled AUDACY. That way you can listen outside the car, but you can also listen from wherever you are, you know, and you can listen on demand. You don't have to be up at 6 in the morning. We're on from 6 to 10, Monday through Friday. And you can also follow us on social. Follow me, at Alex D. Franco. And I post a lot of times that we've come to Austin FC matches, and I love, honestly, just chatting with people, you know, and just and talking about it. It's like I love the community, you know, the soccer community. It's been great, it's been cool, and I'd love you to listen to the show and give us the listen and see what you think. I tell always everyone, like, hey man, listen to us and tell us what you think. You know, love to hear it. Good, bad, negative, whatever. Love to hear it.
Now it's going to be my new favorite show.
There you go, man. See? We have 14 listeners now, and you're 15.
Perfect. Heck yeah. Everyone out there, you know, thank you guys for checking us out. This is all about football, life, and cultura. So this episode for sure wasn't about that. You guys can follow us on Otra, por favor, OtraXFavor. And last but not least, looking forward to it and see you on the 21st.
Yes, sir.
And
Meanwhile,
also,
let's do it.
And also the first game. So, ahí se cuidan, se porten bien. And I always tell people, arriba el América.